Good morning, students. Today we came to the last of the chapter, that is human reproduction, and today we will deal with the last topic, that is pregnancy and embryonic development and parturition and lactation. Okay, so let's start today's class. Before starting, let's recap. In the last class, we study about early embryonic development. There we saw that zygote divides repeatedly, that is by mitotic division, and it was called cleavage. Okay, and which result into 4, 8, 16 daughter cell, which were called blastomeres, and embryo with 8 to 16 blastomeres were called morula. Then the morula continues to divide and transformed into a large mass of a cell called blastocyst, which passes down to the uterus here, where it gets implanted. That means the trophoblast layer get attached to the cell of the endometrium, and the inner cell mat give rise to the embryo. Here you can see this figure is very important. After the attachment, the cell of the endometrium divide rapidly and it covers the blastocyst. Okay, and so the blastocyst get embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, and this is called implantation. So uh, implantation leads to pregnancy. Okay, the cell of the trophoblast differentiate into an inner layer and an outer layer. The outer layer is called the chorion, and it forms the chorionic villi. In this figure you can see, which are finger-like projections that grow into the endometrium, and this chorionic villi gets integrated with the uterine tissue to form structural and functional unit between the developing embryo and the maternal body, that is called placenta. Now this placenta helps in providing nutrients, oxygen to the developing embryo. It also removes carbon dioxide and waste material from the embryo. Okay, it also acts as an endocrine gland and produces several hormones. Okay, and there was an umbilical cord which connects placenta with the embryo that help in the transport of substances to and from the embryo. Okay, so that all we have studied. So let's take up one question regarding this type of question can also come in your exam. Now study the graph below and answer the following question. Name the hormone X and Y. Now this graph is of menstrual cycle. Here days are given and here pituitary hormone level are given. So you know these two hormones can be FSH and LH, which are secreted from the anterior part of the pituitary. So X1, which is attaining the highest peak, can be LH, and this one is the FSH. So next is you have to identify the ovarian phase. So ovarian phase for 5th day to 12th day is follicular phase. Here you have to name the only the phases, please don't describe. 14th day is ovulatory phase and 16th to 25th day is luteal phase. Now next, explain the ovarian event under the influence of hormone X and Y. So what are the events occurring? So first one here in the luteal phase, FSH, it stimulates the ovarian follicle. That one you have to write to secrete estrogen, which in turn stimulates the proliferation of the endometrium of the uterine wall. Next is 2, that is the ovulatory phase. So here both LH and FSH attain a peak in the middle of the cycle, where rapid secretion of LH leads rapid secretion is in the mid cycle is called LH surge, which induces the rupture of Graafian follicle and there were release of the ovum. And in the third one you will have to write the remaining cell of the Graafian follicle are stimulated by LH, which transform it into corpus luteum, which secretes large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of the endometrium. So in this way you will be writing, please don't exaggerate all the things. Okay, whatever is required only, that will only you will write. Okay, now next we will start with gastrulation. Now see, though this part is not given in your book, only a little of it is mentioned, so we are just dealing with only little, and a little explanation I am giving to you. Now, gastrulation, it is the transformation of blastula into gastrula with three germ layers, that is endoderm, ectoderm and mesoderm, by rearrangement of the cell. Okay, now this rearrangement, that means the cellular movement, is called morphogenetic movement. How the cells move from one place to another, that is the movement which is accompanied by changes in cell shape and changes in cellular adhesion to the other cell. Okay, that is known as morphogenetic movement. Now, the inner cell mass contains certain cell, they are called stem cells, which have the potency to give rise to all the tissue and the organ. And this is a very important point, that inner cell mass contains certain cell that called stem cells, which have the potency to give rise to all tissue and organs. So inner cell mass of the blastocyst then develops into three layers. Okay, the outer layer ectoderm, inner layer endoderm, and the middle layer is mesoderm. Okay, so this formation of the germ layer occurs from the differentiation of the inner cell mass, which forms two layers, that is the epiblast and the hypoblast. Okay, so cell of the inner cell mass forms two layers of embryonic cell. One will be the epiblast and the other will be the hypoblast. So epiblast is here and here will be the hypoblast. Okay, now all these, okay, these cells, okay, then they start forming the three germ layers. Basically, epiblast is source of all germ layers in the embryo. Now, gastrulation starts from formation of the primitive streak. Now, what is this primitive streak? See, this starts, or this is the beginning of the gastrulation formation, where the inner cell mass is converted into a trilaminar, three layers, okay, of embryonic disc, which is composed of same thing, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Okay, so after this primitive streak, all the cells starts moving and the layers. Okay, so some of the cell of the inner cell mass get detached and pushed into blastose cell, forming endodermal cell. So here you can see it is beginning of the endodermal cell. Okay, so number of sub cell appear on the inner side of the trophoblast. Okay, so here you can see this one is starting inner side of the, okay, and these cell divides rapidly and form a complete layer inside the trophoblast. Okay, now the remaining mass of the cell left in the inner cell mass after immigration of the endodermal cell is termed as embryonic disc. Whatever the cell are left in the inner cell mass after the formation of endoderm, then these are called the embryonic disc. Okay, and here you can see embryonic endoderm. So the endoderm located under the embryonal disc is called embryonic endoderm, which later forms gut and then some of them forms the yolk sac. Okay, so now after this hind region, one side of the embryonic disc, that is the head one, and the other is the tail one, that is the hind region. Okay, so the other side starts proliferating, that means it start dividing and dividing, okay, at an increased rate, many of the addition of the cell, and then they gets detached and then they form a mesodermal cell, okay, which is a distinct layer, and just it is formed just above the endodermal. And the remaining cell of the embryonic disc form after the formation of mesoderm and endoderm spread out, form an outer layer called ectoderm. Okay, so ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So in very short, I have explained it to you, the gastrulation, all the three layers. Now all these three layers become distinct during this process, and then in an orderly manner this move and then they destined for the specific organs. Here you can see all the three germ layers are forming the specific organs. That means the change in shape and differentiation of the cell in various germ layer will give rise to characteristic organ, and later the shape to the organism. So kindly just learn it, all these three. Okay, endoderm, lung cell, then thyroid cell, mesoderm, all the middle layer, cardiac muscle cells and all that. Okay, means here you can see skeletal muscle means the dermis of the skin there, then the blood and the lymph vessel are also formed, then the cortex of the adrenal glands, then the ectoderm, here you see that is the epidermis of the skin glands are formed, then the nervous system is formed, medulla of the adrenal gland, that you have to learn it. Now next is the fetal membrane. So after the formation of the primary germ layer, the formation of extra embryonic membrane is done. So these embryonic membrane are important as they protect the embryo. That means they are supportive structure that develop during embryonic stage. Okay, and these are lying outside the embryo. So there are four: chorion, amnion, yolk sac and allantois. Okay, so chorion, here in the chart please see this chorion, this one. Okay, the part which is in contact with the endometrium and it produces finger like projections called chorionic villi, which form a part of placenta. Okay, now one figure is also given in your NCERT, the human fetus. Please kindly learn that figure. Okay, now next is amnion, which provides fluid environment for developing embryo and fetus. Now here is the embryo inner side. So it is inner membrane which surrounds the embryo, and between this amnion and the embryo is present this amniotic cavity. Okay, which contains amniotic fluid. Okay, and this fluid prevents the embryo from any shock. Okay, it also prevents the desiccation of the embryo, that means attachment to the one side. Okay, and it also permits the fetal movement. Then is the yolk sac, which function as the site of early blood cell formation. Though this yolk sac, it does not nourishes the embryo. Okay, and it has acquired a new function, that it is modified to form part of the umbilical cord. Okay, and during the early development also it is the source of stem cell that give rise to blood and lymphoid cells. Then allantois. Okay, now this allantois forms the, here you can see this allantois forms the blood vessel that run between the fetus and uterus wall in the umbilical cord. Okay, so this comes in contact with the chorion. Here you can see this allantois comes in contact with the chorion, where it forms a richly vascular structure which is called allantochorion, that forms the fetal part of placenta. Here you can say placenta will develop in this region. So the human placenta is known as chorioallantoic placenta because both chorion and allantois take part in the formation of placenta. I hope this is clear to you. Now next is development of human embryo. Now the human embryo takes 9 months to develop, or an average of about 40 weeks from fertilization till birth, and this time is commonly divided into 3 periods, that is each period is of 3 months, that is called the trimester. Okay, so first in the first trimester we will see first trimester, that is the rapid cell division is occurring, cell differentiation occurs. Okay, organogenesis occurs. Then here you can see first month fetus is here, and during this time it is the critical time in the development. After the first month embryo's heart is formed, and this is the first sign of growing fetus, may be noticed by listening to the fetal heart sound through the stethoscope. Okay, now end of the second month fetus develop limbs and digits, and end of third month major organs systems are formed. Next, second trimester, it is a period of tremendous growth and development. First movement of the fetus can be felt. Now this is the fourth month fetus. At the end of the 6th month, fetus body covered with hair and eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. Then third trimester, 6 to 9 months, it is mainly period of growth rather than new development, means end fetus is fully developed and it is ready for the birth. Okay, and all the essential organs are well formed. Okay, so after the end of the 9 months of pregnancy, the fetus is completely developed and it is ready for its delivery. Okay, now next is parturition. Parturition is the act of expelling the full term young one, that is the full term baby or fetus, from the mother's uterus at the end of gestation period. Now, this gestation period, that is the pregnancy, is completed in about 280 days from start of mother's last menstruation. That is important to be born when the baby is mature. That means it is about 280 days, okay, when to from the fertilization of the ovum by a sperm and continues until the birth of the baby. Okay, so in human beings, the average duration of pregnancy is about 280 days or approx 9 months. Okay, now on completion of this gestation period, the birth of fully formed fetus is called parturition, which is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism. Okay, so the signal for parturition originates from fully developed fetus and the placenta, which induce mild uterine contraction, which is called fetal ejection reflex. Okay, so this term is very important. Okay, this term is very important, so many a times it comes. Now, oxytocin acts on uterine muscle. That means from the pituitary, oxytocin is released and it acts on uterine muscle, causes strong uterine contraction, which is turn it stimulate further secretion of oxytocin, and this process continues till the birth of the child. Okay, so one more thing, oxytocin also stimulates the placenta to secrete prostaglandins, which this prostaglandins stimulates more contraction of the uterus. Okay, so both oxytocin from the pituitary and prostaglandin from the placenta are the two hormones that actually induces the contraction of uterus. Okay, so remember, progesterone is called the pregnancy hormone because it is very essential for the entire period. Okay, now next here, just a diagrammatic representation I have given, that the parturition is divided into 3 stages. First is the opening of the cervix, where uterine contraction is spread down over the uterus and the cervix gradually dilates. Okay, and then here you can see the fetus, which is now a newborn baby. It is pushed out of the uterus through the birth canal. Okay, and the infant's lungs expand and it begins breathing. Okay, next the placenta and the umbilical cord are expelled out. Okay, that is the third stage of birth, that is expelling after birth, it is called. Okay, so after this, lactation. Now the mammary gland of female undergo differentiation and start producing milk at the end of pregnancy. This is called lactation. That means production of milk in the female mammary gland following the birth of a young one in mammals is called lactation. Okay, so this help the mother in feeding the newborn. Okay, so the milk that comes out of the mammary gland during initial days of lactation is called colostrum. Okay, this is the first milk, okay, which comes out of the mammary glands. Okay, this is yellowish. Okay, often it is called foremilk also. It is slightly yellow in color and it contains no fat and very little sugar. It is rich in calorie. It contains important antibodies that provide passive immunity to the newborn infant. Okay, so after about 3-4 days after delivery, normal milk is produced from the mammary gland, which is stimulated by the hormone prolactin. Okay, and it is secreted by pituitary. So the ejection of milk is stimulated by the rise in the level of oxytocin when the baby begins nursing. Okay, so this is all which we have to study in this chapter, though somewhere I have dealt a little exaggerated one. That doesn't matter. You must know the basic thing. Please stick to your NCRT. Many a times I have told you. Okay, now regarding the question, whatever the assignment I am giving to you, do it in your copy. All the figure of this chapter are very very important. Relate the questions from the figure. Okay, do as much assignment as you can. Okay, whatever the homework is being given to you, don't leave it. Please follow all the video lesson regularly. Okay, after this we will be starting the next topic, that is reproductive health. Okay, basically in that chapter we will be only dealing with reference to the NCRT. Okay, no extra information or no extra detailing or extra concept will be given there. Okay, so that's all for today. This chapter is over. Please read it from NCRT, and thank you.